with a strong feeling from the sides and a strong flowing of color from the right side. And the circular gaps in the shapes that formed, kind of like Swiss cheese, but only from the edges. A soothing feeling relaxed me. Kind of a pulsing, anesthetic, perhaps, way of describing it. And I was filled with a teariness from out the eyes and a very content feeling. I don't know if the one is an errata, but at one place it lists other than the order of number 2, and on the right is the sphere of wisdom, and on the left, sphere number 3 is understanding. And also the difference of front back being Shaw and right left being Ma. Or well, Sheen and Meme. Chapter 7 uses the word darkness instead of darkness. And I'm sure it's meant to be darkness, because doesn't he say darkness, fear, and woe be gone on the video? Or was that one of the operators of the seasonal rite? It draws attention to the tree of life in a way that focuses on the subjective. But I think you can pathwork it as a reference to the body in a physical, sensual way, in which then you can open it up a bit more once you go past that. Because a lot of people speak of the mystical exploration as something a little more sensual. You're trying to have this feeling, this thing that you witness like you're seeing, when the development of subjective exploration is, first of all, a lot more reliable and a lot more fruitful as a rule than anything that the grand visions in themselves is going to do without, per se, mysticism. Because mysticism is more than vagueness or experience. It's, a motivating force. And we are left with a group of God names and angel names and sounds and all sorts of stuff that can be used to structure our projected body, or whatever you want to call it. And there's a difference between the dragon of the body and the spiritual body. And perhaps the experience of the aura and stuff, because there's this order of colors, right? You go from red up to ultraviolet, or you pick some other breakdown of the colors. The Kabbalistic spheres tend to be more not such a regular rainbow as the usual chakra diagrams. And there's different systems of this for different Sufi orders. Like, for example, the Sufis had different ways of grouping it, but before the Kabbalah stuff that we know of was written, the Sufis were using the same order with the same subjects, but they were talking about spheres within spheres within spheres, and so they already developed that way of thinking that seems totally new to us that are reading the book of Solomon's Magick and stuff like this for the first time, because it's not in the Western sort of literature as far as I can see until a certain point. And now that Sufism has become more common, it's either dawning on people more, or they're saying, wait, this can be applied to this. This is already done in this system. Or whether people are just having the same level of experiences because we have the same general groundwork. Carroll Runyon is a little bit more technical when it comes to his defining the placement of the states than, the experience, not the station. But even that, then what you tend to expect from a Western magician. If I had Carroll Runyon or Frater Solomon or some of the more known ones, or maybe some of the ones that aren't so known from the Church of Hermetic Sciences or the Ordo Templi Astarte on my channel, I would certainly ask them some questions, particularly if it's an author that I recognize the name, that aren't my usual questions, or I could straight up develop a whole new list just because of the sort of things that they would have. Now, I would ask about the objective and the subjective and combining and separating them, how, some of their approaches to some particulars about that sort of thing. It may come off too technical to be as popular as even some of my other interviews, but still, it's, I would think of some more questions, right? You got the descent of the lightning flash, you got the ascent of the flaming sword and the serpent and all that stuff. Of course, doesn't the serpent go basically just straight up rather than the particular order of the paths of the, between the spheres? However you're going to divide that. Is it going to be 22? Is it going to be 25? Is it going to be some other number? It depends on how you draw them right. And in some of the Sufi orders, you also, just like in Kabbalah with the dot, is it Keter or dot? That's theoretical, and you have 10. But it's like if there's a theoretical and it works in the structure, what in the world is that for, right? Other than to set it apart and give it a mystery, and perhaps the experience of it's going to be a little bit different. And remember, the projections of this particular angel or this in this particular structure, you can use some others and all that. Because the real color, the real experience is going to be beyond your own possible projection with that. But remember, it's all about spiritual alchemy. It's not about,